Oh. Why do I always sound like it's a question? Like, hello? I know you guys can most likely hear me. Why do I do that? Anyways, hi! How are you guys? Sorry I'm late. Whoa! Pause. Okay, now I'm back. Hello? I need to everybody pause. Everybody stop. Everybody stop.
Oh yeah!
Thank you for the
this
subs,
is happening!
Drew and Kamikaze. This shirt, hold on, I gotta be evil Izzy for 2 seconds, okay? Forgive me for being evil for like 2 seconds. I need you guys to see this. This is the fucking funniest shirt ever. My grandma. My grandmother. My lovely grandmother. She went shopping for me and my siblings. And this was the present that she got my brother. But my brother said, I can't wear this. It's a medium. I said, oh, what is it? And so he shows me this shirt. I think this is the fucking funniest shirt to be gifted by my grandmother. It just says Lincoln Johnson. Shoutouts Lincoln, I guess. And yeah, no, my Filipino grandmother just goes, yeah. There you go. And I just think it's really funny just to have this shirt on. Let's go Lincoln. I guess I hope he wins, you know? Like, anyways. Hi chat, how are you today? I'm gonna stand up for now. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm gonna stand up for now. Presidents 15 and 16 wait. Evil Izzy, yeah, Evil Izzy is still here. You guys have to see this, okay? You have to see this. Where you get the shirt? My grandmother. I mean, actually, guys, I'm the biggest American patriot you ever seen. Didn't y'all know? I love guns. I can't even say that with a straight face. I can't even say that with a straight face. Oh my god. That is the worst Texas accent. Thank you. I'm a West Coaster. Oh. As a Texan, it was bad. Thank you. I lived in Texas for 2 years. Hi, Maury. Good night, Maury. Just don't go to a theater with that shirt. Oh my god. Anyways, hi chat, how are you? Sorry I was late. This is the first day that I left my room in a week. So I finally talked to my family for the first time in a week. And boy, did they have tea to tell me. So that is why I'm late. I'm not even kidding. My mom was just like,
oh
hey,
yeah, this is happening.
What are you doing? Let me tell you about the tea. I was like, Sat. I'm sat. I was concerned until I remembered you had COVID. Yeah, no, I had COVID. So, and my grandma's here and she's like 86. So, I'm trying not to give it to people, but I'm good now. So, yippee! Big news though. Hi, Kiki. Big news though. No, I did not get the job. I see a lot of you guys asking if I got the job. No, I did not get the job yet. I'm manifesting. But, pause! I got invited to the group interview. And that is pretty good. Tell me why. Tell me who thought it would be a good idea to have like a battle royale for jobs. My hair is sticking out here. Just pretend it doesn't. Pretend it's not there. Like no. Like, why do group interviews exist? I think battle royale group interviews are insane. Who can suck off the interviewer the hardest for the job royale? Dude, I guess. I don't even know. Group interviews? I've never done a group interview in my life. I think the craziest part is that, yes, it's a group interview, but also they don't call it a group interview. They call it an audition. Not an interview, but an audition. Like, they sent me an email today. New anxiety unlocked. Actually real. So, that's a red flag. So I have to explain what this job is before I like talk more about it. So this job is to be a painting instructor, but it's not like your typical like art class. It's not an art class at all, actually. Well, it is, but like if you really just break it down, it's an art class. But the whole point is, like, you don't have to be, but it's like you gather a group of your friends, you know, it's a little party. You reserve like a time and you get all your friends and you Bob Ross it up with your friends. I, in this case, would be Bob Ross. We're doing Kingdom Hearts 2, Sephiroth. Kingdom Hearts 1, I gotta grind the shit out of, and it is taking way too long, so I'll do that another time. And if I have time tonight, I might just check out the data fights. We'll see what happens. Hi, Skittish. Kingdom Hearts 2 is easy. I got, like, really close last night. Yeah, thank you. I got super close last night, but I got super tired, and my wrist started hurting, and I was like, that's my sign. So it would be like, I have like a group of mostly what most likely would be adults. Sometimes there's also kids. Hello. If you can do the combos, you got it. Oh, yeah, no. I got super close. I literally just like, what happens is like, Sephiroth will just hit me and like it fucks up my pattern and I'm like, oh, fuck. And then I just die. And I get really close every time. So anyways, yeah, you did, Kabaver. I hope you really liked the game. You got phase 2 pretty much down. Dude, we're so close. But anyways, that's all I'm doing tonight. I'm going to be Sephiroth, period. It's just gonna happen tonight. Sorry, again, I started late. I'm gonna get back on my shit. I promise. I'm gonna get back on my shit. I gotta get my shit together. I turn 23 in a week. So, anyways. Yeah, the news of the group interview. Let me go back to that. So it would be most likely a group of adults, but there's also like kids parties too, I guess. I'm not watching Recoded on stream unless you guys really want me to watch Recoded on stream. I was thinking of just doing it drunk with Jome. Anyways, you were getting family tea, so to be fair, so it's fair to be late. Thank you. You understand it was important. I was in my house for a week, but I could not be around anybody. Anyways. So, thank you. My grandma got me the shirt. Well, not me, but it was my brother, but I took the shirt from him. So, let me actually get up. My ADHD has been acting up all day, so if I just keep rabbit trailing, I'm so sorry. I also realized my Destiny Islands audio is gone, so let's put that back on. Jome Recoded. Guys, if we can hit 20 subs tonight, Jome and I will watch Recoded drunk on stream. What was I gonna say? Oh, and so I would be instructing this group of people, right? That's the whole point of the job. And the studio has like pre-made paintings that I would teach. So I would learn how to paint each painting that they offer at the studio. And then, like, the customers get to pick the painting. And then I would be like, cool, we're gonna paint this now. Or, like, things like painting their dog or something like that, right? Definitely putting my skills to the test. I only know how to paint Sonic the Hedgehog. But we're gonna lie. So, paint Ziggy. I could have painted Ziggy, actually. But they just, like, select a painting, and then I would just, like, you know, instruct them how to do it. But the whole point of this studio is, like, you also drink while painting. If you're of legal drinking age, obviously. And so the whole point is, like, you're drinking and you're painting. So, like, there's a chance that people will just be drunk. And that's fine. I'm an adult. I don't drink. I don't think I drink. I think just the customers drink. I wouldn't know. But anyways, that's the job. That's the job. I teach people how to paint. They may or may not drink. So, yeah, bartending and painter Izzy. I mean, honestly, if I was to have a job, it would be that. So, like, that's why they call it, like, an audition. Because they were, like, telling me, oh, yeah, so you're gonna go, like, on stage. And what's gonna happen is you know, you're gonna go into, you and 9 other people are going to, paint with an instructor so we could see how good your art skills are. And I'm like, okay, as if my Sonic the Hedgehog painting wasn't good enough to prove to you that I could paint, but whatever. And then you guys are going to present on stage, one at a time, how to draw a stick figure. And I'm just like, okay. But I just think it's just a weird way to conduct, like, an interview. Especially saying that it's an audition. I feel like, why am I reliving theater kid days? I don't need that. I don't need that. Cool. Did you show them the Sonic painting? One of them. I showed them one Sonic painting, and it's not the one you're thinking of. So, should have given them spicy Sonic painting. I guess, man. I guess I really should have. Maybe that would have shown them that I can paint well. But it's just weird. Again. Hey guys, it's me, Izzy, and today I'm going to show you how to paint a stick bug. Are you ready? Anyways, I think I would rather... I don't think I would ever talk like that. But yeah. I've never done a group interview. I think it's a weird way to conduct a group interview. I also don't know what a typical group interview entails. So, wish me luck. I hope they like me. I really need a job. But this would be, like, the perfect job for me, so. I hope your guys' day has been well. I'm gonna sit my ass down now. Oh, I bought the new office chair last night. So that gets here either on my birthday or a couple days after my birthday. So it'll be like a week before I even get it. But do I keep the Lincoln shirt on? Yes or no, chat? What do we think? I think it's kind of funny. Yes, it's funny? Okay. Keep it on, respect our presidents. Yes. I love presidents of the United States. I can definitely name all of them. Guys, I can't name a lot of presidents. I'm gonna be so fucking for real. Can you name 10? George Washington. highly recommend you do. Oh, I have another shirt on. I have another shirt on underneath. Look. Literally. Hello? Abraham Lincoln! Donald Trump. Obama. Joe Biden. George W. Bush. John F. Kennedy. Thank you. How dare I forget? Andrew. Stop. I just said Andrew. Guys, is there actually a president named Andrew? No! Stop! Sorry, you did not hear me shriek just like that. Andrew Jackson. We have a president with the last name Garfield. So I'm just gonna say Garfield. Oh, Johnson and Jackson, does that count? Okay, well that's, I think, 10 now. I could also, Theodore Roosevelt. What's his name? Ronald Reagan. Oh, and then there's George Bush. My bad. There's George Bush and George W. Bush. Who was the president that said, "I love highways"? What was his name? I forgot his name. I can't think of it right now. No. Oh my god. Oh my god. What's his name? What the fuck is his name? Hold on. I'm looking it up. I'm looking this up. Which president likes to paint, played the saxophone, was Abraham Lincoln? Oh, it was Eisenhower. Thank you. It was Dwight D. Eisenhower. Ew. Anyways, I know that guy because he built the highway system, and I think I need you guys to see this. This is so fucking funny. Pause, wait. Go over here. You guys need to see this. This is the fucking funniest thing I have ever seen. Which president have been impeached, played the saxophone, was Abraham Lincoln, had polio, served the shortest term, got stuck in a... Who the fuck is this guy? Bathtub president. Did William Howard Taft really get stuck in a bathtub? What did he do, chat, outside of get stuck in a bathtub? What did he do for our country? How did he serve our country? You know, like, did he serve or did he serve? You know? Railways! Oh, shout outs. Monopoly buster. Oh, actually, today I've become a true American. I don't celebrate the 4th of July. I'll say it.
You're stupid.
I simply do. I need to stop being evil, Izzy. Pause. I need to not be evil, Izzy. I can't do it anymore. Thank you. Oh. Did I miss news? I got accepted into the group interview for this job that I've been interviewing for the past week. So, now normal looks weird. What? No, it doesn't. Don't say that. The 4th of July is only fun when you get good food. The 4th of July is good when I get free food. So, free food is amazing. Guys, I don't really know much about our presidents and what they did, except for Eisenhower building the freeways, and I do not like that. Why did we do that? Why? And for what reason? For what reason? We didn't need all that. We could have had better public transportation. Good night, Drew. Tanks. Wow, you're right. You're actually just right. I think, anyways. We built the highways in the event that a plane needed to quickly land because of, oh. That sounds very familiar. I feel like I learned this at some point. I don't think in history class, but I'm pretty sure I just learned it on my own somehow, some way. But yeah, that makes sense, actually. But now, our public transportation system sucks. So, shoutouts Cold War. How quirky and cute of them. I think it's really crazy to think that the Cold War just was a thing until like the mid-90s. What? Like what? That shit lasted so long, and for what? I say for what, I literally know exactly why. Wait, Dwight D. Eisenhower was also the head of Japan. Wait, was also the head of Japan. Wait, what? Was America occupied after World War II? Wait, what? Where's the when there? Where does the when go in that? Yeah, it was a long stalemate. And then, ooh, there was a whole, like, Mr. Gorbut, I can't remember how to say his name to save my life. You know, tear down this wall. And then my English teacher brought in a piece of the wall, and so I got to touch that in. Sorry, I just heard my mom just say, "That's not stupid," and I'm like, I'm intrigued. I've seen the wall in a museum. I've seen it in a Ziploc bag. Pretty interesting.
You're stupid.
So, me when I could see, if you asked me about history in any other part of the world, I'd be like, oh yeah, I know all about that. But if you ask me about American history, I'm like, what? I don't know that. I think what it was just the most insufferable people were American history buffs. Dare I say, oh my goodness. In high school, I feel like the most, maybe it's just my high school, but my POV was that the most annoying people that I had been around in high school were American history buffs. I just don't know why. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you. Maybe it was just my school. But, they would always be like, actually? And I'd be like, shut up. Dragon Roost Island! Hold on, pause. I just want to put on a silly little song right now. Oh, do not put the Roxas theme on. I think I would cry, actually. Whoa, this song actually, pause. This is not Kingdom Hearts, but hear me out. There we go. American history buffs into the American Civil War are insufferable. Oh, that's no. I should just say it's not even American history buffs. It's the Civil War buffs. Actually, no. You're right. It is just the Civil War buffs. It's just like, what? Why? Why that? Why that one? This is Yoko Shimomura? Wait. Yoko made this? Oh, of course. No wonder it slaps. Oh, I didn't even know. I didn't even know she did that. Anyways, it doesn't matter. A peak lady made it. Yoko is just her. God, I wish I could just be her, you know? A queen, real. I do not trust people who are a little too interested in American Civil War, World War II. Too many dudes are way too interested in world wars and such. Dude, actually, so for real. It's like boys, men who are a little too interested in the Roman Empire, the Civil War, or World War II. Red flag. Red flag. Biggest red flag of my life. Civil War buffs will always talk about how the war is about state rights and ignore how the first document of the South made after they declared independence was that the war fought... Oh, wait. Was that the war was fought over rights to own slaves. Yeah. They just gloss over that, don't they? It was... I just think it's like... yeah, I think it's totally fine to be, like, interested in history and whatnot, because history repeats itself, right? But I think it's just very... I think it's a lot when there's just people out there who are, like, a little too interested in it, and then they're just like... You're just like, okay, maybe. Have you tried watching My Little Pony? You know what? It might be up your alley. You know, like, we could try something a little different. But what can I say? I wanted to be a history teacher after high school, but I didn't go very far. College dropout. Me too. I also wanted to be a history teacher. But I did not choose that path. Or I guess life didn't choose that path for me. Anyways, how about Sephiroth? One Piece lore greater than history lore. Me when I become a One Piece historian instead of an actual historian. I thought you wanted to be an ASL interpreter. I did not actually want to be an ASL interpreter. That wasn't my intention going into college. Really quickly, let me set up my Xbox really quick, and then as I'm setting that up, I'll kind of talk to you guys about that, because I feel like I could talk to you guys while I'm fighting Sephiroth. A bitch can multitask. Is One Piece even real? I don't know. I've never seen the anime. You do not want to make history buffs bronies. You're right. Like, World War II is vital to the history of the Philippines. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think it was crazy. Philippines was colonized by Spain for 300 years. Then, the United States. They did not become a country, like, officially until, I forgot what year, but it's recent. So, me and my ancestors, when we have been colonized for generations. Yippee! Anyways. Mm-hmm. 1946, that makes sense. Yeah, I was like, it's pretty recent. It hasn't even been like 100 years. Mm-hmm. I once read a Waluigi x Jesus fanfiction where my favorite line was Waluigi saying, "Jesus loves me, this I know." I don't know why that's so funny. I miss the Mario and Luigi series. I don't think I have ever played that. Oh, I was telling you guys why I didn't go to school to be in... You still play Sonic Adventure 2 Battle? Yes, I'm actually learning how to speedrun it, off stream. So, yes, I do. I am really good at... Oh my god, I forgot the name of it. It's where you jump as Tails in the mech and you pause. You pause buffer. And then you like, I forgot what it's called. I don't know why I just like, why did my brain just, I don't know. I'm a Kingdom Hearts girly now. I'm sorry to tell you, but my controller has Sonic the Hedgehog on it. I don't know what to say. Sonic Adventure 2. Honestly, chat, I really want to play Sonic. I want to replay Sonic Adventure 1 on my stream. I played it for the first time ever 2 years ago on my stream. But I'm going to be so for real. I don't know how much of it I actually retained. So I really want to replay Sonic Adventure 1 on my stream. I do have Tails in the back. Yeah, that's him. That's my little guy. Someone say Sonic Adventure. Yeah, so I really do want to play Sonic Adventure. Hello. Sonic Adventure 1 on stream. I feel like we should honestly start with the big story. I feel like big story, guys, come on. Come on. Peak, actually. Sonic Adventure has some really fun mods. But do you need to unlock Big first? Maybe. I think you do have to play through Sonic's story before you can do the rest. Actually, you're right. I think I need to do Sonic's story before I do anybody else's story. I feel like Sonic Adventure just was such a... It's very nostalgic. Anyways, whatever. Yeah, you don't start with the whole cast. Yeah. Gamma Story was so sad. I loved Gamma Story. I really did. I think Big Story is so insanely funny. He's just fishing, bro. He just fishes. Oh. I like Sonic Adventure 1 more than Sonic Adventure 2. No, I was gonna say something. I was gonna give an incorrect fact about Jet, and then I was gonna be like, no, I was wrong. But what I do now, is that Jet likes Sonic Adventures 1 OST over Sonic Adventure 2's OST, which I found out recently, and I was like, I'm shocked. I'm super shocked that you like it more. But like, dare I say, same. I think it has overall better music, more nostalgic kind of music. But Sonic Adventure 2 has like more memorable songs. I think like they have more memorable like things that you can pick out, but I think the overall soundtrack of SA1 is better. I really like Shadow stage themes. You know what song? What song? Jesus Christ! What game has a really good OST but sucks? Shadow the Hedgehog 2005. That game has the absolute worst. Like, I just don't like this. Wrong. No, I'll say it. I don't like playing that game that much. Is he being right once again? No, I'm saying like, why the fuck do I have to play that game 10 times to get the actual ending? You know? The OST is so good. The OST is so good. Like, y'all. Fucking the Shadow the Hedgehog OST stays on during sex. Real. It is the only Sonic game you could use a gun in, though. That is true. That was a bad game, yes, but I still love the game. The music carried me through. The music does carry you through, absolutely. Yeah, I think someone said the other day, like, something about the early 2000s and replayability with the games. So that's why, like, Sonic Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog were like that. Like, people really wanted replayability in their games, and that's how Sega did it. I don't think they did it well, but I guess if that's what people wanted back then. You know? Because rental culture was a thing. Like, Blockbuster? Speaking of Shadow the Hedgehog, I am so fucking excited for Shadow X Sonic Generations. Yippee! I'm excited to have Shadow the Hedgehog back. Shadow the Hedgehog has not been in a game since 2020. I just want to point that out. That's crazy. It's been 4 years. I can't believe that's the name they chose. I'm sure it was a PR move on purpose. Like, absolutely. I'm pretty sure it was, like, Rio Olympics. That's the last time, like, Sonic was there. Yeah, no Shadows in Frontiers. I can't believe Maria's gonna get shot twice this year. 2024, the year that Maria gets shot twice. Anyways. I might be playing Kingdom Hearts, but my special interest will always be Sonic the Hedgehog. It will never leave. I don't think it will ever leave. Isaac, thank you so much for the day! Hi, friend! How are you? What were you streaming? Isaac streams? News to us. Miku emote? That is so stinking cute. Little Miku. I love Hatsune Mike. I love Hatsune Mike. More than anybody, actually.
Oh yeah!
Isaac,
this
thank
is
you so
happening.
much for the 5 months. Thank you, thank you. I'm gonna drink some water, chat. I feel a little headache coming on. I mean, Jason Griffith and Pete Capello tomorrow. They're really nice people. I hope you get a silly little autograph by them. I think it's really funny. Jason and Pete are like actually like this. They're like actually so close. It's so funny. Isaac does indulge in a little bit, just a little bit of streaming, you know, as a treat. Yes, we are fighting Kingdom Hearts 2 Sephiroth. Hi, I don't raid often, but I'm trying to. Well, I appreciate it, Isaac. And hello, Isaac chat. My name's Izzy. If you guys do not know me, I have a Lincoln shirt on, but it's because it's from my grandma, okay? And also, I play Kingdom Hearts, but I really like Sonic, and yeah. Yippee! Anyways, they're in town for a WeebCon. Oh, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I just put 2 and 2 together or something, and I just like, oh, wow. Anyways, what was I gonna say? I don't remember. But I don't stream this far into the day or often. That's okay. I stream at stupid hours. A lot of you guys are like, Izzy, why don't you stream earlier? Stream earlier, please stream earlier. And I'm just fucked. My schedule is just wrong, and I'm going to literally do everything in my power to fix it tomorrow and start at the time that I should be starting at. So, I'll do my best. I mean, I'm sorry, I'll do my best. Anyways. That's what she says, right? She says that. No! Kingdom Hearts, don't do that! But some people, okay, it was Kababa earlier who said, like, didn't you go to school for American Sign Language? And that is a great question that I have been wanting to talk about. No, I did not, like, go into college to become an interpreter, like, on purpose. I went into college at 17 years old, so a little earlier than most people. And, I did not want, like I said, I didn't really have, like, intentions. I feel like most people kind of, like, have an idea of where they want to do. I had no idea what I wanted to do when I got into college. I was like, I don't necessarily have, like, any career path that I want to pursue. So I was just gonna go for, like, associates for, like, just general studies. And, hold on. Okay. Wait. I wanted it to save. As 17 genius. So yeah, I did graduate high school early. And I worked really hard. Little did I know I'm actually just neurodivergent, and I was just smart at the time. But then you enter college and you realize that you are literally the same level as everybody else, and you're gonna burn out. Not to be depressing or anything, but that is kind of what happens a lot of the time. Should I put my camera over here, chat? No, I'm gonna keep it here. I'm just gonna oh yeah, the classic like gifted kid burnout. But good morning, Izzy. Is Sephiroth her boyfriend yet? No, sorry. What's Cloud doing? Hi, hello, how are you? But before I have to lock in, because I want to get the pattern down before I start, like, I talk again. But I went into college. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was just gonna go for a general, like, studies associate's degree. And then my mom was like, oh, why don't you try to pursue, like, something in the medical field? Because I was like, oh, I'll do something in the medical field, because I've been in and out of, like, hospitals my entire life. I'm not, like, sick or anything. I just have a lot of weird complications that there's just, like, a lot of, like, minor inconveniences with my body. For example, I have a wrist deformity, I have asthma, I get vertigo, blah 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 blah, you name it, right? So I've just, like, been in and out of, like, hospitals for just a bunch of different reasons, and it turns out they're just, like, random ass shit. And so I was like, maybe I'll do something in the medical field. I want to do something helpful. I want to do something you know, useful and productive with my life. So then I decided that I was going to go in for radiology because my mom had mentioned that like radiology was a good profession to get into and you make a pretty decent amount of money. I was like, shit, why not, right? All I gotta do is take x-rays and study first. I gotta study first and then I gotta, you know, gotta take x-rays of people. And I figured, you know what, I've been in and out of the hospital for the past how many years with my wrist issues. You know what, maybe I could help somebody who's also having like really dumb, stupid wrist issues or something of this in a similar vein, right? My whole point was like, I just really want to help people. And I started taking classes towards that. Oh no, pre-med, yeah. I started taking classes towards that, like the prerequisite classes. And then my mom decided, or not my mom decided, but my mom mentioned to me one day, she's like, hey, did you know that you have all the prerequisites for the American Sign Language program at your college? And I said, no, that is not something that was on my mind. And she said, I think it would be good for you to do. And I said, okay. And that's what happened. I didn't necessarily like want to do it, but I had experience in the past because I had a teacher who was hard of hearing, so she would sign to us. She would sign and also talk because she was only hard of hearing, so, and she had a cochlear implant as well, so, but she also thought it was like super important that like people should know like basic signs, which I agree. I really do agree with that. And so I went into the sign language program. Not really sure if I really wanted to do that, but at the end of the day, I actually really enjoyed it. I learned a lot, and it is a awesome second language to know. I wish more people knew sign language, actually. But at the end of the day, I dropped out. So here we are, fighting SEPHIROTH now. That is where my life has led up to.
Show me your strength. That's enough.
Anyway, stream doesn't end until I beat SEPHIROTH. Oh, fuck. No, that's fine. I thought I pressed X the second time, but we're good. Whatever. Alright. Oh, fuck.
That's enough.
Oh. SEPHIROTH! Anyways, we're gonna hear this a lot tonight, chat. Get used to it. I'm surprised I didn't drop out of college. I was like one of those people who would be like, who just kind of like, fuck off, dude. I'm gonna press A. There we go.
That's enough.
I'm one of those people who kind of just like toughs it out, and just like sucks it up and just is like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it, right? And obviously, I think that's pretty apparent with with how often I like retry bosses, for example, SEPHIROTH right now. Like I'm a pretty stubborn person. It's a good and a bad thing, I would say. But I was just like, you know what? Nope. Sorry, he scared me with that. I was like, we are not doing that right now, SEPHIROTH. No, thank you. No, mom mess with. Anyways.
That's enough.
And I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna truck through college. You know, I'm gonna get a degree. I'm gonna be the first person in my family to get a degree. Let you know. And a very like somebody who would aspire to be like a really like a straight A student. So it would be like one of those. So it was really surprising when I did drop out, but I literally just had depression. I one day was in my sign language classes. I had no idea what the hell was going on. Nope, 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 nope. And I just remember leaving my class and I was like, alright, time to limit. Oh, fuck, dude. Alright. Let's revert, actually, and let's... Alright. What the hell, chat? What do I do? What do I do here? What do I do? Oh. Oh, let's move. Let's move. Let's move. Let's move. Let's move. We got so fucking close. Dude, first try and we got like into the third phase? Whoa. That was tragic. Pretty good. Okay. I also thought it was gonna be a first try. Imagine I just did it first try and I was like, huh. Well, that didn't take very long. What do we do now? Like, it would have been really funny if I did it first try and said, okay, that's it. Bye. That would have been so funny.
What is Cloud doing? Show me your strength.
But yeah, no, I was very like I would still say I'm a high achiever and like somebody who really strives to like give their all with things. But I just like got super like depressed, which is super unfortunate. And so like I just dropped out. I just remember being in class like and crying and I didn't understand a fucking word that was going on. And I just literally sat there and I was just like, what is going on? I just like didn't know what assignments were due anymore. I just got lost. I didn't know what I was doing. I was doing a part-time job. I was streaming and I was doing my 18 credit hour courses. It was fucking insane. I don't know how I was doing that at like freshly 18 years old. Like I was really confused. I didn't feel like that like interpretation was my passion either. I think it's super useful and an awesome job, but I don't really think it's me. Like at the end of the day, I really don't think I would have been happy in that job. I probably would have felt really, really oh, and wrong thing. Let's go into drive really quick. Oh fuck, I'm getting hit. I'm just getting hit. But yeah, at the end of the day, I really don't think that was my passion, and it's probably a good thing I didn't do that because like, I've talked about this before. Oh. I'm just gonna take the L here. Actually, no. I can make it work. I can make it work.
Heartless.
Oh fuck.
That's enough.
Don't give up. I was just like, no, I'm just gonna retry. No, we still have so much like potions left and whatnot. I think we got this. I think we can make it work. Just kidding, everybody. I lied. Data battles would have been a nice backup. I was thinking about doing the data battles anyway, so like, okay. I already had that in mind. Oopsie. Yeah. Getting to the data fights might take a minute. Yeah. Joan was telling me that earlier. He was like, I said, oh, I think I'm just gonna stream my SEPHIROTH fight, and if we have extra time, I guess maybe the data battles. He was like, are you sure? And I was like, why? And he was like, it's a fucking while to even get to them. And I was like, oh, well, I'll just stream getting to them. But that's fine. Oh, excuse me. Little burp. Excuse me, chat.
What is cloud?
Let me really quickly get back onto my train of thought. Oh, little did I know, like, I don't think I would have been happy, and I've mentioned this before. Or you could kill Tara. No, I think I'm good, actually.
Show me your strength.
I think no matter what, and I hate to say this,
That's enough.
it's a lot for me to admit. I'm just a little theater kid at heart. I think I'm at my happiest when I am putting on an event or entertaining people. And it makes me really happy to see people with a smile on their face. And I did that too early.
That's enough.
So I think, had I continued my American Sign Language program, like I sucked it up and just said, screw being depressed, I guess. Had I sucked it up, I think what would have happened is I would have, I low-key think I just would have settled in life, and I would have, Sora.
That's enough.
And I would have been married to my now ex, and in a job that is, yes, very fulfilling, but I don't think I would have been necessarily, like, I don't think I would have had the opportunity to really be myself.
That's enough. Know your place.
And I don't think at the end of the day I would have been very happy. So I'm really glad my life kind of took this turn because
Give into the dark. That's enough.
I wouldn't know all of you. Like, I am so happy to know, like, I've met so many awesome people through streaming, and it really means the world to me. And I like I said,
Heartless.
nope. Like I said, I don't think I would have been very happy had I continued down that path.
Perish now.
Oh, let's move. Let's move. How did I not take damage there? Did you guys see that?
That's enough.
So once we get to the third phase, chat,
Give into the dark. That's enough.
what do I even do with Sephiroth there? Do I approach him? Do I not approach him? I don't think I should approach him, huh?
Sin. Heartless.
Oh, I barely. Just barely, chat.
Perish now. Heartless angel.
Nope.
That's enough. Perish now.
Oh, we're gonna move. Hi, Oxy! How are you? Why did I do that?
Descend. Heartless angel.
I'm good, meow.
All shall be one.
Have you played this game, Oxy? I think I asked you this the other day, and like, I cannot remember. Oh. Oh my god. I was pressing B instead of A, and that's my own damn fault. Third tries the charm, right, chat? Ugh. The Cavern of Remembrance made me hate ballet. What? Money can't buy you happiness. Every day that statement proves more and more true. I felt, though, actually real. Not the Australian one, right? Yes, original name. That was the person I probably would have ended up marrying because I was like, I think it's still crazy, like, to this day. Like, I really have no more, I really don't have any, like, crazy beef with him. But I think it's a little crazy that he was gonna try to propose to me and I was like 19.
What is?
I was like, oh, okay.
Show me your strength.
That's why we broke up, because I found out he was trying to do that.
That's
I do have
enough.
Leaf Bracer.
This is it. Back off. This is it.
But yeah, I got to a point where I was just like, I don't think I would be happy with this person, and I don't think I would be happy interpreting for like the rest of my life. So I think we're just going to not. So I dropped out because I realized that I was super fucking depressed. Which is like its own story, like really it is. My journey through depression is like it's a whole story. But
Give me strength.
That's enough.
Back off.
sorry, I had to lock in for a second there. But yeah, no, I got super depressed. Dropped out of all my classes. I dropped out of my program that I was in. Which made me feel really bad because they chose me over so many other people who applied to be into that program, and it's one of the best ASL interpretation programs in the US. He's just sad.
Show me your strength.
I mean, if I bought concert tickets and then the artist canceled like last second, it makes me go, oh, number one, I hope they're okay. Number two, that fucking sucks for me.
Back off. This is it.
I did not beat Kingdom Hearts 1 Sephiroth at all. I have to grind kind of a lot more to even get to that point. I did that too early.
Let's go.
That's enough.
Not yet. I will one day. I think that's something I really want to do. Yeah, I'm glad I feel like I feel less alone in the world knowing that other people did drop out due to depression too, so
This is it.
shout outs to those who shared.
It's over.
But yeah, I think that's something that kind of like weighs on me to this day. Not to like trauma dump or anything like that, but it just makes me go, damn, a bitch could have had a degree. She could have been a learned individual, but you know, I am playing Sephiroth Kingdom Hearts.
Give in to the dark.
Alright, timer limit. Oh my god.
That's enough.
Oh, we're dead. I dropped it for a little bit, but I went back from motivation, got no financial aid, so I had to pay for everything out of my own pocket. I am so sorry. That really sucks. I was kicked out of high school and dropped out of college for anxiety/depression. It's weird to think that a lot of people kind of like had a similar experience of like getting really depressed in college. I wonder what it is. Like genuinely, I'm super curious to know what that is. I'm trying to think the common experience here of like going into college, kind of getting depressed, and then dropping out. Shout out to my dad who graduated with the associates and got it upgraded to a bachelor's. Whoa. I'm lucky I had the right people surrounding me in college. The only reason I made it through. You are lucky. I had like no friends. Shoo. I literally had no friends, and the people that were my friends were actually just out to like get me. I was also in the OSU community at the time, so that says a lot.
Show me your strength. That's enough.
It's over. Back off. This is it.
Oh.
Light.
What? I'm pressing X. Okay. We're gonna pretend that didn't happen. That didn't happen. It's the workload of the professors. I had really good professors. I think just I genuinely just think there was a chemical imbalance in my brain. I think I was also overworking myself because, like I said, I was doing 18 credit hours, streaming, and also working part-time. At 18. I just turned 18 too at the time. So that was just a button check. It really was. Man, I do not miss my college days either. I don't think I ever would want to be 18 again. Ever. I had amazing teachers in college. I failed them. Yeah, me too. High school made me not want to do college. I feel like, yeah. I think a big thing also with my depression was I just didn't know that I also had ADHD, and also anxiety. I didn't get diagnosed with anxiety and ADHD until way, way later. I got diagnosed with ADHD 2022. So not even that long ago. Summer of 2022. So not even, like, it's not even been 2 years. Made me feel like college was just a Skillshare with more steps. No, you're so real for that. Scaring me low-key for someone who's very much finishing my first year of college soon. I think everybody's a little bit built different. And some people are just more built for, like, I think some people are just really good at learning and college is their wheelhouse. And for other people, I feel like that's not necessarily our skill set. You know, you know how they always say there's book smart and street smarts? I feel like everybody kind of has, like, a scale with that, you know? And I don't think college is necessarily for everybody. I think I could go back to college, but it would be really rough for me. Hi, Bay! Yeah, not for everyone got that. Yeah, learning is a skill. Learning is a skill. It takes a lot of drive and motivation to even want to learn. Especially if you're in a class, and for especially my neurodivergent people, it's really hard to learn something you're not even interested in. And I had a lot of classes like that for me. I would recommend college. I'd say trade school. That's actually, honestly, yeah, learning a trade is a pretty good one too. I played the college game more so than learned. Yeah. I'm 10 credits away from getting my associates. I honestly should go back and at least get that. Oh my god. I super encourage you to do that because, it's just like, imagine, like, you just take a couple more classes. Literally, like, just in your free time for funsies, you know? Like, maybe take a class that you think is fun. Something that you're genuinely interested in. And just, like, get it. I don't know what if it's just general studies, why not just take a class that is for funsies, right? And then on your own time, you know, slowly work towards that, finishing that 10 credits and just having it, you know? As somebody who has been applying to jobs without an associate's degree or any type of degree at all, really, it is really hard. And I'm, even for my people with, like, bachelor's degrees and or master's degrees, like, it's really hard for people to get jobs right now. But that has nothing to do with you. It just has to do with companies not wanting to hire 20-year-olds. Because, dare I say, most of us are probably in our 20s, or, like, 19, gonna be 20, 18, 19, you know, like, you're about to enter your 20s. So, people just don't want to hire people with no experience. And it's like, well, we do have experience. It's just, or sometimes people will have experience, they just like to undermine it, or they don't want to give us experience, which is so annoying. I'm turning 27. They won't even hire me because all I've done is content for 7 years. Yeah, I get it, babe. But I think also content is actually a viable skill nowadays because what you have to, because you as a content creator have learned how to, you learned public speaking skills. You've gained public speaking skills. You have learned how to market yourself. You can entertain an audience. You have to, oh my goodness, you have to, like, write professional emails to people who want to sponsor you. Or, like, if you want to reach out to a sponsor, you learn so many skills and content. So dare I say, you are probably way more experienced than most people when it comes to, like, an office type job. And I think it's so unfair of, like, these old, like, boomers in, like office 9-to-5 jobs saying, like, I I don't know, like, you haven't worked a traditional job. So? Who cares? You have set yourself apart as a content creator who is partnered. I went to school for marketing, so I keep thinking that similar brain. Yeah, exactly. And even if you went to, I feel like that even helps, you know? Like, you not only got a degree in marketing, but you have proven that you have those skills because you have set yourself apart from thousands and thousands and thousands of creators, you know? It is not a small feat to get partnered on Twitch. It is actually so hard to have a audience that, you know, right now the requirement is 75 viewers for like a month, you know? And that's hard to retain for an entire month. No raids. That doesn't count. Raids don't count. It's all on you. So I think that it should be more viable. I think workplaces should actually consider people who have like content in their resume more seriously, because the amount of things that we learn, that we have taught ourselves through content creation is not a small, it's not something to be overlooked. The amount of business emails I've written, the amount of proposals that I've written, like I've had to learn how to market myself. I've had to learn how to talk in front of an audience. There are so many different skills you learn through this, and I just hope workplaces take it more seriously.
What is cloud?
Well, thank you for that. I'm starting to think my time doing this full time is coming to an end soon, so it's nice for me to hear these things as I possibly figure out things and try to move. Honestly, I think that you're gonna do so well. I don't know what you would probably try to pursue after streaming. I assume something within the marketing realm, but I feel like if you try to go for something like kind of with let me give like Stream Elements for an example, right? I think about how Stream Elements has like their sponsorship programs. I feel like you would do so well in something like that because like you have learned how to reach out to people and reach out to like professionals in multiple industries and or other content creators, right? And I think your skill set as somebody who did content creation for so long is super beneficial to a job like that. So I really hope that you can get something in that vein. But yeah, and I'm you know what? I'm glad. I'm glad that I could make you feel a little bit better about that because man, the job market is hard right now, and whoa, it's just rough, you know? So I can be just a silly little guy on the internet and entertain the masses. See, I think, content creation, it's like any other desk job. It is mentally taxing. You have a lot of things to do, a lot of planning, a lot of marketing, a lot of, you know, I just think of it as kind of like it is like, it is a desk job. Like I mentioned yesterday, getting a new chair is super beneficial because I'm sitting at my desk for 8 to 9 hours a day. That is like as much as like a typical like office worker, you know?
That's enough.
And I think that having public speaking skills and or like theater experience is super beneficial to being like a streamer or like a content creator of any sort. It really kind of like helps you get started.
That's enough.
But I will say it is not like content creation is not an easy, it's not an easy thing.
Give in to the dark. That's enough.
It's not an easy thing. It is a job like any other. And The amount of times.
Perish now.
Oh, oh. I am stuck. All right. The amount of times that I have like dealt with like just beating myself up over the smallest things.
Angel.
Like the amount of time, like you guys don't know what goes on behind the scenes of like of some of your favorite content creators, but I can guarantee you that a lot of the time we kind of get a little sad if our numbers are low. And it's at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter because it's like, you know, we get on our grind, we make things that we love, but also what you also might love. But like I said, it's a hard job, you know. If numbers aren't well, it can be really rough on your mental. Because then you go, what's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? And like honestly, you might not even be doing anything wrong. It's literally just like
Heartless.
sometimes it's just like maybe you know, people are on spring break, summer break. You know, your numbers might be lower for just like reasons out of your control. But like, you are your worst critic, and it is really hard because when you do content creation, it is usually just you.
Give into the dark. Give into the dark. Give into the dark. Descend.
Oh my God, where are you?
Angel.
I'm fucked.
That's enough.
No, I'm good. Actually, everybody, I lied.
Take this.
Give into the dark. That's enough. All shall be one with me. Give into the dark. Perish now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. Third phase chat.
It's over. Yeah. It's over. This is it.
Oh, move, Sora, move, Sora.
Descend. Heartless angel.
Oh,
Let's go.
Perish now.
oh, I see what you're saying. Let me,
Time has come.
what the hell? What was that chat? What was that? Meteors. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's fine. Hey, we got really close though. We got super close. Hi, Ariel. I can't stay long. I want to come by and hang out for a little bit. Hi, Ariel. How are you? I hope your night's going well. Content inherently is a job. You compare yourself to others, whether you mean to or not. So when you look at someone doing the same thing as you and question why you're not having the same success and wonder what you're doing wrong, then you fall into the cycle like you're saying. Exactly. So I get very wrapped up into these conversations, so sorry for distracting. No, you're good, because me too. Hi, doing good. I'm glad. Hearing people like Rubber Ross and Alpharad talk about content creation too really can give you an idea of how much it takes. As somebody who knows Ross and Jacob, I know I have seen like behind the scenes of them. And so much work goes into having a channel as big as theirs. So much, like, they have been doing this. Ross has been like on YouTube since like forever. He just didn't branch out until, I don't know, a couple years ago. And then Jacob has been on YouTube since I was like a freshman in high school. Jacob has been doing YouTube for almost 10 years. That's crazy. It takes, it's multiple, like, it is a lot of work. If you want to pursue this, number one, dare I say, you should never start content creation because you want it to be your job. I think that is the wrong mindset to have. I think going into content creation and just like, you know, streaming or making videos with the mindset of I want to make money is wrong. I think you should be having fun with it. I think you should be having fun with it, and you should like enjoy hanging out with other people first and foremost before you can even consider getting to the point of making money. Hold on, babe. I see what you're saying. Hold on. I felt rather isolated so often. I'm left to my very own thoughts, which drives me insane since all I have is myself to ramble to you about this. Exactly. And like sometimes you feel like kind of a bother if you reach out to other content creators to be like, hey, do you also feel like this? That's partially just social anxiety, but also like you don't want to be a bother, you know? You don't want to be like, hey, do you feel like this? And they're like, no, and you're like, oh, okay, my bad, you know, like I'm just kidding, haha. And yeah, look at all these longtime creators who are retiring now from the burnout. So it's exhausting to maintain the success you have. It's why you should start out of passion, and if it happens to grow, then you learn from there. Exactly, Shu. I super agree with what you said. I remember Ludwig saying something along the lines of, it doesn't matter what size you are at, you're always going to see that dip, and you're always going to think you're falling off and failing and have a rough mental. True. He is spitting facts with that. He's spitting facts with that one. I thought of doing content creation for the fun of it and being able to try to build my self-esteem and do some sort of art stream. Oh my god, you really should, friend. I think you should. But yeah, babe, hey, I mean, hey, my DMs are open. You can always talk to me. But yeah, really quickly before I start my silly little Sephiroth fight again. Something I started streaming for was because number one, my dad suggested it, and I was also like, I have no friends. I don't have friends with similar interests. I don't have friends who like rhythm games. I don't have friends who like Sonic like me. I just don't have friends. Really. So I wanted to foster a community that liked the same things as me. And here we are years later. And I get to hang out with really awesome people. I've met so many beautiful people. And I would have never dreamed of it. You know, I would never have dreamed to be where I am right now. And the numbers, they stagger, you know, they're rough sometimes. Sometimes sometimes I'll look at the numbers for a month and I'm like, oh, bitch, you fell off. But like, in reality, no, I'm doing just fine. Sure, maybe I should be posting more on other social media platforms, but like, really, as long as I'm giving it my all, right? And it's really hard to like remind yourself of that kind of thing. Because you see so many other people doing it, right? But, yeah. I'd love to forgive the sappiness, but I really do enjoy chatting with you. So thank you. Of course, friend. So streaming will get me friends. Yeah, hey Ferb, I know what we're going to do today. No. I don't think streaming will give you friends necessarily. I think if people like your personality, they'll hang around, they'll stay. Just like making a friend normally would be. But I don't think streaming inherently will give you friends. Streaming gives you a platform to meet people. Yes. Streaming gives you parasocial relationships. That too. But I will say I have met so many people. For example, If I didn't stream, I would have never met Jet. And a lot of your Sonic fans, I know you know who Jet is. Jet has become one of my one of my closest friends. I tell him like everything. And had I not streamed, I would have never been able to meet him. And it's literally because somebody in my chat said, "Hey, there's this guy doing Amy Rose auditions. You should try out for it. We really like your impression." I said, "Oh, thank you so much. I'll go take a look at that." So I did. Oh shit, I gotta do that. Sorry, I just thought about a voice acting thing that I have to do. Oops. But had I not streamed, I would have never known. I would have never been able to meet him. I would have never auditioned. I would have never had met a friend that I so dearly care about nowadays. He says, streaming just opens the door. You have to do the work and actually form the friendships/relationships. Absolutely, yes. Streaming gives you the potential to make friends. And it opens a door for a lot of different opportunities. Did I think I would be working with Sega on collaborations at any point in my life? Absolutely not. But here I am. I have done, let me think. Crocs, Rowing Blazers, Hypeland, Sonic Superstars, Sonic Frontiers. I have done 5 different collaborations with Sega now. But like I said, I wouldn't be here without you guys, really. So, from the bottom of my heart, and I say this a lot, but thank you so much. And I also would encourage, like, just to wrap this up so I can go back to fighting SEPHIROTH, hee hee haha. 1 second. Thank you, Freddy Fazbear. Where would I be without Freddy Fazbear? Actually, I've never played a FNAF game until, what, like last October, so. But I do encourage you guys, and this is not just streaming related, but I really do encourage you guys to take a step in, just to take a step out of your comfort zone. And if you're really passionate about something, try it. Really just try it. This year I'm really branching out into voice acting. And it's really scary. It's really scary. Because it's such a competitive field. But I'll never know. I'll never know if I don't try. You know? I'm not crying, you're crying. Oh my god, Ariel. I'm gonna actually start crying. I'm gonna cry if you cry. Sometimes it feels like it's too late for me to start anything. I think that mindset is holding you back. You are never too old to start something. You're never too old to learn something. My dad is 60 years old, and my dad is learning so many new things all the time. And I feel like if my 6-year-old father is still out there learning, I have no excuse. I have absolutely no excuse. So, you know, take that as you will. But I think having a mindset like that, will hold you back with the things that you want to pursue in life. My branching out this year is all personal. I want to find my aesthetic styles. I'm trying to figure myself out and look to moving for the first time. Oh my god, Bae! This is the year. This is the year that we're like, this is the year that we slay. We serve. It's not even April yet. We have so much time. Windows security, shut up. You streaming helped me streaming because you have so much fun and have such a great community that I kept going, oh, cat girl, that means a lot to me. Thank you. I'm really glad that I can, in my weird wackiness, can even inspire. It really touches my heart. I know it doesn't really show on my face right now, but please believe me when I say, like, it really means a lot to me. The best time to start something is 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Except for buying a house. We all know that we're kind of fucked with that. Oh, wait, hold on. I got my control. Ugh. Alright, we're gonna skip the scene. I'm glad I was here for this talk because I feel like I'm missing something with my content creation. Just keep going. Keep going, and sometimes you do have to take a step back and be like, what am I doing wrong? What am I not doing that other people are doing? Sometimes you do have to have that moment, because, you know, you do have to just, like, be like, all right, I am doing something wrong. Let's fix it. Let's figure it out. But at the end of the day, just keep doing it. If that's something you love to do, just keep doing it. Guys, I have been here for 5 years and I'm not partnered. Come on. Like, and this is something I love. I could not imagine, like, stopping my stream. Sora and Cloud are related? How did I never know? Sora Izzy monologue about just wanting about life just waiting so he could kill them. He's not even
Show me your
I've been talking and playing, alright?
That's enough.
Yeah, back off. Yeah, back off. It's over. This is it. This is it. This is it. Give me strength.
Oh my god.
Give me strength. This is it. Let's go. Yeah. Take this.
Whatever.
That's enough.
Okay.
Are you for real?
Take this.
My headphones turned off. Hold on, I do actually have to listen to the sounds. There are sound cues, so I just gotta turn my headphones back on. I don't know why they fucking turned off. They're not on low power rating. Alright, why do you do this?
That's enough.
Yeah. This is it. Yeah. It's over. This is it.
What the hell?
That's enough.
Yeah.
No place.
It's over. Take this.
Give in to the dark.
Alright, buddy. Drive. Oh! Okay, I didn't menu fast enough. There was a licensing nightmare. My voice just died right there. We're lucky we even got him in Smash. True. Fact that Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts have a crossover in some capacity. Squeenix. It's a Squeenix moment. Like hold on, I'm just catching up with chat again. Like the biggest kudos I can give Jacob is introducing me to your content. Oh well, thank you. Shout out to Jacob. Thank you, Jacob. I owe so much to Jacob as well. Like I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for Jacob, you know? Like I would not have the friends that mean so much to me if I didn't meet Jacob. I love Jacob with my whole heart. Like that man has done so much. Y'all don't even know. Y'all don't even know the beginning of it. Like if you've ever seen his like Japan haul video where he's like I went to Japan and I spent too much money. And he brought back a shit ton of gifts for his friends. Like that's just scraping the surface of what he has done for like his friends. I owe so much to that man. He has a big heart, and I'm so honored to have met him. Really, I am.
Show me your strength. That's enough.
Take this. Take this. This is it. It's over. This is it. It's over. Yeah.
That's enough.
Yeah, this is it.
Wait, Bummer, what?
Take this. It's over. Yeah, back off. Take this.
dark. Perish now.
Oh, okay. I would like to not perish now. Thank you, SEPHIROTH.
That's enough.
This is it. Yeah. It's over. Take this.
Descend. Heartless angel.
Nope, 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 nope. You are not. Nope, we are not descending.
Ha. Yeah. Back off. Yeah.
Into the dark.
Yeah.
Perish now.
No, don't perish! Stop, Restore! Ah! Ah! Wait, how did I, when did I do that? Guys, me using potions and I haven't even meant to do it.
Perish now.
Nope, nope, no, no. Yeah, thank you. It would be really nice to not. Okay, what's he doing now?
Descend. Heartless angel.
Nope, 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 nope. Fuck, man. Alright, hold on. Oh, I used a high potion. I didn't notice. Alright, what do you think? What is wrong? No! Wait! Thank you so much for the raid. Oh my god, sorry. I'm in the middle of trying to beat baby girl right now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my god, what were you playing? What were you up to, friends? Oh my god, guys, go follow my friend play. They're so slay.
Give into the dark.
Oh, drive, 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 drive!
Descend. Heartless angel.
Up.
That's enough.
Ah! Items. And then we're gonna... Dude, really? Okay, we're gonna try again. Huge raid. Well, hello. Hello, Quay chat. How are you guys? SEPHIROTH might be a one-winged angel, but Izzy is a two-winged angel. Oh, stop. I'm gonna cry. Stop it! Oh my goodness. Guys, I think I did take the Lincoln shirt off. I don't know. Actually, Quay, what do you think of the shirt? Is it slay? It's so not slay. It is it says Lincoln and Johnson. My grandma gave it to me. It slays. Ah, thank you. Anyways, did we shout out Quay mods? I don't know if we did or if we didn't. Oh yes, we did. Yay, thank you so much. But yeah, guys, go follow Quay. They're so awesome. They play a lot of Elden Ring. And Quay has literally one of the most beautiful like Millennia cosplays I've ever seen in my life. So I'm just saying. I did not get very far in that game because I suck. Obviously, I've been here on SEPHIROTH for a while now. You almost first tried SEPHIROTH today with the shirt on. Oh, maybe it's the shirt, guys. I think, honestly, it might be the shirt. Maybe the shirt's boosting us. Also, I gotta go piss, girl, so I will be right back. I'm gonna put on silly little music for you guys. You guys can listen to VGM that's a little goofy. I like this one. I'll be right back. I'll go piss. I gotta go piss, girl. Hello? Okay. Well, hello, chat. Yeah, I don't know why it plays double on that screen, so I need to figure out why it does that. I will figure it out. Anyway, sorry it took me a second, chat. I had to respond to a couple of messages. We have gotten so close multiple different times. Now it won't play twice. For whatever reason on this screen it does not play twice, but on my intermission and or starting scene screen it doubles, and I do not know why.
That's enough.
I will have to figure that out eventually. But alright, I think we locked in chat. Excuse me if she goes a little non-verbal. I know we had a good chat just now. Also, there was something I wanted to read earlier that I just didn't get to, so I'm just somebody said something, I was like, I want to see what they said. Take this. Yeah, this is it. This is it.
That's enough.
Yep, that's what I figured. We've had our yap session. Time for one winged angel. He's such a cool, like, genuinely, Sephiroth is one of the, like, coolest, like...
Give into the dark. Give into the dark. Heartless.
One of the coolest, like, video game villains I've ever seen. Even my dad knows Sephiroth, and I think that's awesome.
Perish now.
Oh.
Give into the dark. Perish now.
Sephiroth knows all of our dads. Does he? He's really a character of all time.
Descend. Heartless.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that today. Thank you, buddy.
Perish now.
Back off. Give me strength.
Heartless angel. Perish now. That's enough.
Take this. Yeah. It's over. Back off.
Give into the dark.
Mods, can we run a poll?
That's enough.
Can we run a poll to see if to see who the believers are?
Give into the dark. That's enough.
Okay. Yeah.
Descend. Heartless angel.
Let's go.
Perish now.
Oh,
Give into the dark.
Take this.
Give into the dark.
It's over.
Give in to the dark. Perish now.
Okay, buddy. Like, what do you want me to do?
Give in to the dark. Perish now.
Alright, well, we're moving.
Descend, heartless angel.
Yeah, what's up? Ooh, that is so unfortunate. Yikes. We got close though. But I feel like we're close every single time. Yeah, no, that one's so hard because I'm like, where did he go? And then he turns around and it's like, descend, heartless angel. And I'm like, can you not? Can you not?
Strength. That's enough.
I should have had a counter for how many times I've tried this tonight. I really should have. I didn't think about that until like right now. My bad.
Yeah. This is it. Give me strength. Give me strength. Let's go. Take this. Yeah.
That's enough.
Yeah. Back off. This is it. It's over. Yeah,
Anyways,
this
thoughts
is
on
it.
SEPHIROTH chat? What do we think? Be honest. Be honest.
There.
Love him.
Yeah. It's over. It's over.
That's enough.
Back off. It's over. This is it. Yeah.
I feel like I've got a really good hang of this now.
Give in to the dark. Give in to the dark.
Yeah. Right.
Heartless angel.
Right.
That's enough.
Yeah.
Give in to the dark. Give in to the dark.
Shit.
Descend.
Okay.
Heartless angel.
Dude, are you serious? Every single
That's
time.
enough.
There. Back off. Yeah. This is it. Back off.
Good night, Kebabber.
Perish now. Descend. Heartless
Yeah.
angel.
It's over. Take this. Back off.
Perish now.
Okay. I could have hit him more. I don't know why I did.
The dark.
This is it. This is it. Right.
Descend. Heartless angel.
Oh, he said it. He said it. He said it, chat.
Give in to the dark.
Oh, fuck.
That's enough.
This is it. Yeah. Give
Give in to the dark.
No. Oh no. Okay. 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 That's fine. We're good. We're okay.
Show me.
It's fine! Me crying because I've been here already
That's
so
enough.
long. Me last night. But I really think it is so possible tonight, chat. Genuinely. I figured out the patterns. I'm a little confused on... Maybe a little early. Fuck me.
Let's go.
I feel like I get a little confused on the third wave, but that's okay. I think I very slowly figured it out now.
Take this. Take this.
That's enough.
Yeah. It's over.
We've heard Heartless Angels so many times. In like the past 24 hours. It doesn't get old, it really doesn't. It's such a crazy good like theme for like a villain.
Give in to the dark.
Light.
Give in to the dark. That's enough.
Back off. Yeah. Take this. Back off.
Descend. Heartless.
Back off.
I have a question, chat. Is gliding faster than running?
Perish now. That's enough.
Yeah.
It is.
Back off.
Oh. Cool.
It's over.
So I will just... I keep running when I really need to be gliding towards him, huh?
Descend. Heartless angel.
No, my limit form was unavailable. If you leveled up wisdom form, you'd have something better than both. What happens if I level up wisdom form? What did I not get? Quick run. Y'all. No, it really is faster, huh?
What is Cloud doing?
Which you actually need to get to the data fights. I gotta level up wisdom, don't I? Thank you. I'm trying to lock in. We've gotten close quite a bit.
That's enough.
Yeah. It's over. Yeah. This is it. Take this. Yeah. It's over. It's over. Back off. Yeah. It's over. Take this. It's over.
That's enough.
Yeah, it's over. It's over. Back off. Yeah. Yeah. Take this.
Come on.
It's over.
You can do this, Sora.
This is it.
Know your
You
place.
can do this, Sora. You're so close, man, Sora.
Give in to the dark.
What can happen?
Yeah.
Perish now.
Whoa! Why did it suck me in and go into the other direction? Not offer cash money of you.
Perish now.
How did they even do that, chat?
That's enough.
Take this. Ha. This is it. Yeah. This is it.
Descend. Heartless.
Ha. This is it. Yeah.
Give in to the dark. Give in to the dark. Descend. Heartless angel.
Yeah. Ha. Back off. Ha. Back off. Back
Give
off.
in to the dark. That's enough.
It's over. Take this. It's over. Yeah. Yeah.
Perish now.
Uh-huh.
Give in to the dark.
Yeah. Take this. This is it.
Descend. Heartless.
It's over. Back off.
All shall be one with me. Give in to the dark.
Yeah, back off. It's over.
Oh my god,
It's
chat.
over.
Walk in, bitch.
Perish now.
Take this.
Descend. Heartless.
This is it.
Perish now.
Back off.
That's enough. That's enough.
It's over.
Perish now. The time has come. Let us make the future. Accept the darkness.
Yeah.
Perish now.
Kneel.
Give in to the dark. Give in to the dark. That's enough. That's enough. Descend. Heartless.
It's over. It's over.
Time has come. Let us.
Yeah.
Accept the darkness. Perish now.
Oh my god, Chad.
Perish now.
Chad. Chad.
Please!
Give in to the dark. Give in to the dark. Descend. Heartless angel.
It's over. Yeah. It's over.
Ah! Chat!
Time has come. Let us. accept darkness. What intriguing power.
Oh my god! That was rad!
Time, fuck boy.
How'd you like that?
Oh my
I
god.
admit you're very skilled. But apparently Cloud is the only one.
My heart
You
is
can
through the
eliminate
roof right now. I gotta sit down. I gotta
Tell
sit down. Hold on.
Cloud to come here. Tell him
Oh my
Sephiroth is
God.
looking to settle things.
Ah! I won. I'm a Kingdom Hearts 2 gamer, chat. I gotta drink some water. Oh my god, the way whoa. I did not think that would be my run. I was like, I don't know if this is gonna be. Oh my
yeah!
god, Phoenix!
This is happening!
Thank you so much for the 5 gifted! Oh, by the way, I forgot to do this. Thank you so much. Oh my god, the way that hold on, I gotta calm down. The way that I got so excited. Alright, let's drink some water. Oh my god. That was awesome. That was such finally getting it. We finally got it. I just like I'm scrolling up a chat and I see Kuya saying, "Everybody shut up." Oh my god. That's awesome. That was so awesome. Once you start dodging the meteors with glide, I knew it was it. I really just locked in. I saw those meteors inside. Jump and glide, bitch. Figure it out. You said let's drink for a second. I thought you meant alcohol. I mean, if you want to. I'm drinking water. I know I will be drinking on my birthday. So I drank a lot when I was in LA. And then I also I drank a lot. I drank like every other day when I was in LA, and I was in LA for like 7 days. So, I think I'm alcoholed out for now, but, I'm gonna be drinking for my birthday, and I'm definitely gonna be drinking. I'm gonna be out of town again, chat, for just for 2 days. It's not gonna be very long. I will be out of town for, a silly little concert. So, I'm excited, but yeah, I'm only gonna be out of town for 2 days. But I assume when I'm out of town, I most likely will be drinking anyway. So. Oh my god, I'm literally, I was shaking. My heart rate was I felt my heart in my chest. I was like, oh my god. I was like, I'm right there. Do you want to see the cutscene, Izzy? What cutscene? Go find Cloud now. Oh, find Cloud? Oh, find Cloud. Okay, real find Cloud. Oh my god. Okay, let's go find Cloud now. Oh my god, chat. That was awesome. That was so cool. I'm gonna save now. That was so awesome. I think I'm gonna save. I'm gonna save here. What? Huh? The save data we have on this Xbox network for Kingdom Hearts is different from the data on this console. It's literally the same, Chad. Do you see that? This console. That was weird. I'm gonna do this. Me thinking maybe Cloud is here. What is this? Oh, that is data fights. Okay. Skateboard! I love skateboard. Oh my god, chat. I can get this now. What? What the hell? The Demix fight. I'm going the wrong way, aren't I? Oh boy. Yes, I did get double jump. Oh my god, chat. There's Cloud. Hi, Cloud. Have you seen SEPHIROTH? No. Maybe I shouldn't. Of course! Chat, do I say of course? I see. So I guess it's time we settled this. What? A Cloud. Just Cloud. They're gonna kiss. Wait. Now go back to SEPHIROTH. Wait, real? Oh my god, chat. I still can't believe we did it. I can't believe we did it. I'm so proud. I'm so proud, chat. It may have taken us way too long. But we fucking did it. That felt good. I like the way the Keyblade spawned in. Oh. He turned around, chat. I could see him. His wings are so cool. His wings are so cool. What are they just from his legs? Oh my god, his wings are so stinking cool. I love his silly little design.
Did you give him my message?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Sorry to keep you, Sephiroth.
Ooh. Ooh! Drama!
Cloud, you'll never let go of the darkness.
Shut up.
What?
You'll never let go of your past.
Whoa. Whoa.
Cloud, get him!
Oh my god, Sora. Shut up, Sora. This is a whole cutscene.
Absurd.
Ah,
Defeating me
absurd.
is meaningless. You know that more than anyone, Cloud.
Who voices
No matter how
Sephiroth
many
here?
times I fall, your darkness keeps calling me back.
Whoa, chill.
Wrong.
Tifa, stay back!
Ah, Tifa,
Can
wrong.
I want to help you.
Tifa, literally, Tifa, chill. Tifa, let him do his thing.
You can't. He'll never let go of the darkness.
His
He doesn't
sword
have
is
to.
stupid
He just
long.
needs someone to surround him with light.
Oh, whoa.
The darkness will be there, Sephiroth, but in a place you can't reach.
Is that right? Let's see what this light of yours can do.
She missed!
No!
What the hell just happened? What the hell just happened? Ooh, what is going on?
Look out!
Cloud, you can have my light.
The light doesn't suit you.
I just don't know.
What the hell is going on?
Stop!
Stop.
Huh?
What happened?
Where'd they go? Do you think they made it back to their own world?
They went somewhere else.
Oh.
Cloud went to fight a great battle
How the fuck
to
do you
defeat
know
the
this?
darkness inside him.
Gone again.
What will you do now?
Well, she finally found Cloud.
Guess I'll keep looking.
Got any leads?
Don't worry. Light is easy to find.
Okay.
I gotta go. Here. This is for helping me out.
What did she
But
give
wait,
us?
When did we help?
Yeah, when did we help? And she's gone. I just got a Keyblade? What the hell is this Keyblade? Whoa! What does that even mean, negative combo? Maximum ground and mid-air combos are decreased by 1. So you know anti-form? Oh, that's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy, dude. The fact that we still had 2 high potions left. So can someone explain to me what the fuck just happened in that cutscene? Like, what the heck? I don't know. I felt very confused. Your guess is as good as mine. Okay. They literally don't ever say, what? Good night, Ultra Yoshi. They went to Smash. Awesome. Hold on, we gotta let Ziggy in chat. Chat, doesn't he look? Doesn't even look so. Look at him. He's so squungly, wungly, bungly. Look at him. I love him. I love him. He goes stinky baby. I love my dog. He smells like corn chips. Why do you smell like corn chips? Excuse me. Hi. They all do. Do dogs just smell like corn chips? Sticky baby! Sticky baby! Sticky baby! I love my little doggy. You have something to say to the people? You have something to say? Want to say something? No? No? Nothing? Bork. Bro does not bark. Unless the doorbell rings. That's the only time. He's so bad. I love my dog. I love my dog. Sorry, I just love my dog, chat. I hope you know. Yeah, we'll get an Ziggy emo eventually. You're so disgusting and yucky, and I love you. You're like a little rat dog. You're a little rat dog. I love you. Love you. Me with he does bite though. Oh my god, he bit Shu one time, chat. Because I have to explain that. So Shu based what? Why would that be based? Oh, well, they do be biting Shu's, true. Dogs do that. I mean, I am a Shu. Anyways, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, no, Ziggy is weird. And if you give Ziggy, I don't know how to explain this, but Ziggy licks his collar. I don't know why he does it, but he licks his tags. He just licks the collar's tags. And, he gets weirdly possessive over it. And, so he had his collar off and he was just on the couch licking it. And, it kind of got close to Shu, so she moved it out of the way. But Ziggy was like, "You're taking my collar?" And, like, just gave her a little nip. And I was, like, horrified. I was like, "Ziggy! How dare you!" I can't believe he did that. To this day, I'm still so, like, mortified that he did that. Me, average parent experience. Chat, how many of you guys bit someone else as a child? I bit someone as a kid. Okay. Maybe, as a kid. I never did. Like, if you were, when you guys were kids, did you ever bite somebody? But I've been bitten. Okay, my brothers would fight, that's fair. I was a weird child, but I never did. My younger sibling got bit by another kid at the doctor's. The doctor's office. I bit someone in middle school? It was a scratcher, not a biter. That's true. You're either a scratcher or a biter. So when I was, when my parents both worked corporate jobs, my mom had me in a daycare. And one time she picked me up from daycare. And I could tell you guys a story, like, pretty well because I remember most of it. But I was at daycare and I was playing with the Barbies. I was also playing with the Barbie dream house, okay? And I was having a good time playing all by myself. By the way, I was like 2 or 3. I had to be at least 3. And I was having a good time playing with the Barbies, and this one girl said, "It's my turn." And I said, "I just got here. Like, I just became my turn." No. I didn't want to share. I don't know why I didn't want to share. And I guess eventually, like, I said, "Fine, like, I'll share with you." And then she took the dress for my Barbie that I wanted, and I said, "Well, I really want that one." And she was like, "No." So I bit her. As you should. Hold on. It was a bite of 87. But yeah, I bit her because she wouldn't give me the dress that I wanted. Which is kind of insane. I I'm gonna say it. I think Izzy could take Lingering Will. What? Track her down and bite her again. I don't even know. Alright, I don't even know who this child even was or is. Must have been hungry. I don't know. But I remember my mom told me that when she picked me up from the daycare and they told her, like, they're like, hey, you know, don't freak out, but Isabel bit somebody today. And my mom was like, my child bit someone? Like, my mom was like flabbergasted. My mom was like flabbergasted that I bit another child. Because I was a really good kid. Like, I would put myself on timeout. That's how much of an angel child I was. And then the exorcisms happened years later. But I was a really good kid and my mom was flabbergasted, but I remember I'm remembering, like, my mom, like, she takes me in the car and she was like, Isabel, why did you bite somebody? And I was like, they took my Barbie dress. I'm sorry. Actually, just a little menace as a kid. I wasn't even that bad. I think the most, yeah, I would always apologize. I always tell my mom sorry. I always, like, I would like tell on myself. There was one time I remember when I was in preschool, so this was like maybe 2 years later. If that. Maybe a year later, actually. Did you tell the girl sorry? I don't think so. I really don't think I did. I cannot remember if I did, but I feel like I didn't. But when I was in preschool, we had this, like, stuffed animal that, also, I have a question for you guys in, like, 1 second. I don't know if she ever came back to the daycare. I'm unsure. I don't remember anything outside of the daycare, outside of being traumatized by the live-action Cat in the Hat movie and biting another kid. So, those are the only 2 memories of that daycare that I have. Scarred her for life. That would be crazy. Imagine there's somebody out there who's just like, yeah, I got bit in daycare as a kid. And, like, it's just me. It's just me. But when I was in preschool, we had, like, this stuffed animal that we would take home. Like, it was like how teaching kids responsibility type of thing. It was like, ooh, who's gonna take home, you know, the class pet today? And it was just like a little stuffed animal. And when it was my turn, this story is so funny. When it was my turn to take home, like, the class pet, I remember I was so excited. I was like, I finally get to take the class pet home, right? And take care of it, because I would have to go back I would go back the next day to give it back to the school. It's like, again, a whole responsibility thing, right? And for whatever I don't know, I was a weird kid. We should have probably figured out I was neurodivergent earlier, but the telltale sign was that I really liked Thomas the Train. That was the first hyperfixation in life. But anyways, I, at the time, was really obsessed with washing my stuffed animals. Like, I would put them in the sink, use the hand soap, and I would, like, scrub them down. And I don't even know why. But, like, I was, like, super obsessed with just watching my stuffed animals. And my mom told me, we're driving back home, And she looks in the rearview mirror at me, and she said, Isabel? And I said, yes. You cannot wash the class pet. And I said, okay. And guess what I did when I got home? Oh my god, yeah. So like, let me guess. You cleaned the class pet? I did, but like here, let me tell you, it's so funny. It's so funny. So, I had my own bathroom. I don't know why I, as a 4 or 5-year-old, had like my own. I was 5. Why I had my own bathroom in my room, but I did. And I ran to my room after school. I grabbed the class pet and I put it in the sink and I started washing it, and I was like, yeah. So, yeah. I washed the class pet. No, I didn't waterboard. And, I was really quiet, so of course my mom was like, she's up to something, right? And my mom knocks on my door, and she says, Isabel, what are you doing? And I go, uh-oh. So I grab my towel. I grab my bath towel. I stuff the pet inside the towel. And then, yeah. Again, this is not a live pet, by the way, chat. This is a stuffed animal. So, it's like a little plushie, like a little bear. And, I literally, like, wrap it in the towel. It's soaking wet, by the way. It is soaking wet. It is, like, so damp. Like, you can hold it and it would, like, drip water, right? And so I put it inside. I put it inside the towel, and I throw it in the corner of my room, which I don't even know why. A 5-year-old me was like, yeah, she's not gonna know. She's not gonna know. So soaked stuffed animal wrapped in my bath towel, sitting on the chair right next to the bathroom. I leave it there. I stand like this with my hands behind my back. I remember this. And she's like, what are you doing? And I said, oh, nothing. We all thought I was waterboarded a live animal. No, yeah, no, it was like a stuffed animal. It was like a little teddy bear. I'm so sorry. I thought I made that distinction earlier, but it wasn't a real. We did have a real pet though. It was a little mantis. We did have a class pet that was a mantis that we kept at school. So, but that is not the pet that I washed. And so, no, I didn't waterboard the mantis. The mantis stayed at school. But yeah. My mom's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, nothing. And she's like, what's that behind you? And I was like, uh-oh. And so I look at my mom and I said, it's the class pet. And she's just like, Isabel, I told you not to wash it. And I was like, you did? She's like, I told you in the car. And I was like, I'm sorry. And she's like, it's fine. I'm just gonna throw it in the dryer now. But I don't know what the hell my obsession was with washing my stuffed animals as a kid. Like, if I was to get my mom in here right now, she would tell you how often I would wash my stuffed animals. Did anyone know at school? I'm sure my mom told like the teacher like, hey, my daughter hand washed the stuffed animal. Just FYI. And they probably were like, oh, that's less work for us. Like, honestly, they probably went, huh, I don't have to launder it. So, you know. At least it was clean for the next kid, right? Might have been that you saw your mom washing and wanted to mimic her or something. I think what it came down to... if I don't give my daughter the pet in where she waterboarded it. But I think what it came down to is like I would watch my dad give my I had a beagle when I was really little. I had a little beagle. His name was Snoopy, of course. But we called him Bubba. We used to call him Bubba all the time. Ah! That scared the shit out of me. Hello! Thanks for the raid, friend. How are you? What were you playing? The fear. I'm telling a story about when I was a kid, but hi, just dropped Kingdom Hearts 2. Oh my god, we just beat Sephiroth, literally. We're in the pause menu right now because I'm just telling a story, but no spoilers here right now. No way. Yeah, we just beat Sephiroth. But I hope you had fun with Kingdom Hearts 2. But what was I saying? Oh. Yeah. I think it was just the fact that, like, I would watch my dad wash my dog. And I was like, I want to do that too. And then I would wash my stuffed animals. Are you ending your stream soon? No, I'm not. So I think that's just what it was. I just wanted to copy my dad and wash my stuffed animals like he would wash my dog. So I think that is very funny. Okay, chat. We have two options we can do here. We can get to the data fights. Or we can try Terra. But I do have to I think upgrade wisdom. Okay, what is that, Kuya? What the hell is Silhouette? The book? Oh. Good night, Ariel. I have a family reunion tomorrow. Or technically today. Oh, I hope you have fun, Ariel. Have a good night. Have fun, friend. Ooh. Oh, the absent silhouettes. We didn't do the books, chat. We didn't. I beat Larxene, though. I did beat Larxene. Remember how I said I really wanted to beat Larxene? Ooh, it's time to hit the books, I think, chat. Okay. Which one? Have you played Zelda? Yes, I'm a big Zelda fan. I actually have a Zelda tattoo, and I have a real Master Sword. Just kind of chilling underneath my desk. I'm going to do a Zelda-a-thon in the summer, by the way, chat. That is planned. Lexius is easy. Have fun with Sudoku. Zelda-a-thon if it were good. I'm actually going to be playing... Actually, really... Before I forget. I will be playing Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask for the first time ever during that, so... Yippee! Yeah. I've never played those games. Ever. Have you played Skyward Sword? Yes, I got really close to beating it, and then I just haven't picked it up since. But yeah, I've never played Ocarina of Time, and I've never played Majora's Mask. And those are the two that I really want to knock out. And then I also want to play, I think I really want to play Twilight Princess. I never finished Tears of the Kingdom. I've been kind of slowly grinding that on my own time recently. What was I going to say? Oh, I want to play Twilight Princess. I never finished Twilight Princess. Isn't that crazy? So I want to play it over from the beginning. So it's going to be Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, and possibly the Wind Waker. I played through the Wind Waker already, though. It's actually my second favorite Zelda game. My first favorite Zelda game is A Link Between Worlds. I fucking adore that game. Please do. Tears of the Kingdom's ending is incredible. Good day and good luck with Sephiroth. Thank you. I already beat Sephiroth. Do you have a Wii U? Yes, I do. I actually have, I have Twilight Princess on both. Not on both, but I have it on the Wii, the GameCube, and the Wii U. So I will just use my Wii U and do the Twilight Princess remake on that. So A Link Between Worlds is great. I think one of my favorite cosplays outside of Palutena is my Princess Hilda cosplay from A Link Between Worlds. I adore her. She's so cute. She's cute and she's a little goth girly. What? How can you not like her? You know? I will be happy watching you play at Zelda Ocarina of Time. That'll be sometime, probably in I'll probably start it in May, most likely. We'll see. We'll see what happens. This Sephiroth boss is easier than the Kingdom Hearts game, Kingdom Hearts 1 game. I found that out. Lexius is in Twilight Town. Let's just go to Twilight Town then. Where should I land in Twilight Town, though? Oh, my bad. Dang, I missed it. Oh, yeah, no, we just beat, Sephiroth, so Majora's Mask is good. Do Nintendo Switch Online? Oh, if I'm gonna be playing Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time, I don't know where I'm gonna play it. I think I would just play it on Nintendo Switch Online. I think I would just do it there. I have it on my N64, but getting my capture card to work with a fucking N64 is atrocious, and I do not really want to do that. I also thought about the 3DS emulators, but no. Sadly, no way to do 3DS. Oh, that sucks, man. It's gonna be around the same time. FNAF fart. Hi, Jome. I'm really trying. Anyways, how many Kingdom Hearts games have you finished? I have finished 1, 2, and Birth by Sleep. I have watched Days and Chain of Memories. I did meet Sephiroth, Joe. I was gonna text you just now, actually. Oh yeah, by the way, we'll watch. Jome and I will watch Recoded on stream drunk. We'll do a drinking game to it if we get if we could get to 25 subs tonight. If we could get to 25 subs tonight, we'll drink and watch Recoded. Not tonight. You and I are not gonna do it tonight, but eventually. N64 Nightmare with capture cards. What the hell? My controller batteries are low! What do you mean? Recoded sucks. What the hell? Yes, you did! Anyways. Okay, I'm just gonna... Where do I land in Twilight Town, by the way? I think I'm just gonna go... Jome. Who is this one again? Oh, this is Straight Man. I think I'm gonna let him kill me. On purpose. Actually, he's really... Actually, hold on. What the hell? What the fuck? What? What is going on? I wonder, hold on. Yeah, no, this is actually really easy. Oh. What? That was really easy. Hmm. They're puzzle pieces? Okay, what's the next guy I should go fight, chat? What do you guys think? Someone in the journal? Zexion? I still doesn't have a silhouette. Hi, Sonic! Thank you for the raid! Hello. How are you guys? Hello, raiders. I just beat the Sephiroth fight in Kingdom Hearts 2, so we are doing some of the silhouette fights because I did not do those, and I kind of want to do that. So Axel is in the mansion, huh? Thank you for the raid, friends. I hope you had a good stream. What were you playing today? Zexion is Olympus. Marluxia is in Beast Room. Should we go to Marluxia? You're playing Smash Day? Oh, fun. I had to go back after torturing myself with Sonic Heroes yesterday. Ooh, which team? I still haven't finished Sonic Heroes. Team Sonic. That's my... I'm not even kidding. That is the last team that I have to go to. He is massive. The things that happened were diabolical. Just so unlucky. That game is so slippery and literally for no reason. It's rough. It's rough. But I played, so this is my playthrough. You know how you're supposed to like technically like do like Team Rose, Team Sonic, Team Chaotix, and then Team Dark? Like that's kind of like the order of difficulty, right? I played it as Team Rose, Team Dark, Team Chaotix, and now I'm on Team Sonic. And I still haven't beat Team Sonic. Frog Forest will be the death of me, I swear. It is the worst. That and Rail Canyon. God, I cannot fucking stand that shit. Let's check it out. Frog Forest and Rail Canyon, yeah. Ah, Yowie chat, Yowie man. I love the Yowie man. Is Marluxia really hard? Is Marluxia the final boss fight of Chain of Memories? Yes, he is. We fucking figured that out. Is this like one of the boss? Marluxia is hard. Marriage? No way! Marluxia is gimmicky. Huh. That's right. He is the Lord of the Castle. Cool. Cool, cool. He has a fun mechanic. Okay. Yippee. Oh, doesn't he like... Pause! Doesn't he like take you to 1 health? Or some shit like that? No? Oh. Cool. I'll find out. If I could be Sephiroth, I'd be Marluxia. Easy. What is he whispering in my ears? I can only take 50 hits, and if I get more than 50 hits, I die. Oh. I'm level 50. So, hi Ziggy. Chat, it makes me happy to see Ziggy using his little stairs. All right, let's.
Back off. This is it. Take this. It's over. This is it. Back off. It's over.
That's unfortunate. Okay. Make these fights look easy. Well, that was rough. I was just like, I'm kind of running out of items, and I need to kind of figure that out. So I'm gonna continue really quick. 1 second. Hi, what are you... Oh. All I want in life is chicken nugget. That is such a problem. I think I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. Oh, we're gonna customize. I'm actually going to put my high potions here, and then actually, I'm not gonna put my high potions. I think I'm actually going to go ahead and put some others here. And then I'm gonna go into my items and replace everything with either. And then I think there's not a shop right here, but okay. Let's see. This is awful. Oh my god. Okay. Man, I'm fucking up. I'm dead. I'm dead. Oh no. Oh no, chat. Did I save my... No, we should probably... Yeah, let's... I forgot to leave the room. Oopsie. I think this is what we're gonna do. This is the play for me. I think we've got this. Okay. Oh my god. Why did I choose to do Marluxia right now? Did I not use an ether? Oh, not the 3 hits. Oh my god. Here, let's see. It's saved, right? Okay, it's saved. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Okay. We're gonna reflect right away. Watch this. Chat. Oh my god, oh my god. What can I do here, chat?
Let's go. Yeah. Take it. It's over. Yeah. Let's go.
Damn, okay. So I do- Wait, so I literally do not die? I literally only have so many. Oh no, I do die. Okay, just kidding. I was like, why the hell am I not dying? I know what it is. Oh, no. Good night, Yoshi Sonic. What time is it for me? Ooh, it's 1:30. You know what? We can maybe do these tomorrow. I don't really know. It is 3 a.m. Yeah, no, it definitely is 3 a.m. We're gonna continue. Then I'm gonna save right here. Underneath this. Got work early tomorrow. Yeah. Alright. I also am starting to get a little dizzy and I definitely am super hungry. So I'm going to end now. Chat. This is what I will do. Tomorrow, we could do more silly little data fights, or not data fights, but silhouette fights, or we could play Mario Galaxy Real. I'll make a poll tomorrow. Not right now. Oh my god. Oh my god. Emma's playing Sonic Unleashed. Guys, we gotta go raid Emerald. He's playing my favorite Sonic game. Alright, chat. I will see you tomorrow. I'm gonna go get something to eat and go to sleep. Have a good night. Have fun with my friend Emerald. He's so awesome. That's my streamer right there. But have fun, guys. I'll see you later.